time to get a little audio in. And we get to catch up with our friend Stephen Glass, who is in Memphis, and he's kind of getting ready for a season. Glassy, good morning. What's going on?
Doing well, John. How's things?
All right. Hey, man, it is off and running. It is a crappy morning here in Atlanta, and so we're trying to stay as dry as humanly possible. And I know that you kind of got a season that's coming up sooner than I think any of us really realize. But what's going on up there in Memphis? What's the offseason been like in the preseason?
Off-season's been brilliant, actually. I've got home to Scotland for a little bit of time, spent some time with the family, a few club visits, visited Everton, visited Newcastle, and mainly had a good time with the family, so that was really good. Planning all the while, bringing players in and things like that, organising for the new season. So now we're kind of seeing the fruits of the players we brought in, which is good. Planning training, actually at the training ground right now, just waiting to start the session before our final pre-season game. So looking forward to that.
Now, when it came to last season and the lessons that you pulled from 2023 here to 24, what were some of the bigger thoughts that you kind of bookmarked and you're like, yeah, we've got to keep an eye on this, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on this, and that'll help us grow as a franchise in USL Championship?
I think probably the biggest lesson, it's a really long season. You always know that going in, but I think you get you pigeonhole yourself and you put pressure on games week to week. But I think when we focused on performance level as a group, we were very good. We didn't start particularly well results-wise, but we kind of trusted it. And we ended up going on a really good run. Almost started when we came to Atlanta, to be honest, but because it kind of kick-started us. But we went through the month of April, May and June, we didn't lose a league game. So that's a long time. So I think if we don't almost focus too much on the results come, the results happen with the quality of players we've got. So that's probably the biggest lesson, is making sure we focus on performance level and keep driving the group and being relaxed about what we've got.
And for those that didn't have the opportunity to see about all the turnover and all the new faces, I know there's some firepower that got brought in, and a lot of folks sat there and looked at what happened in the offseason with Memphis 901, and they're like, man, you guys are really you're really front-loaded some things, and you really want to put the ball in the back of the net in 24. Yeah,
well, we were pretty high on that last year. I think probably go back to your first question. We need to be a bit tighter at the back.
Yeah.
So we're front-loaded. I think your phrase is right. We've got some really good attacking players, midfield players that can score goals, defenders that are adding a set-piece threat. And it's strange because as a group we were pretty difficult to play against, I think, last year. Not easy to play through, and we gave up a lot of cheap goals rather than not huge volume from the other team. So I think a little bit of focus on that and knowing that we still keep the drive on trying to score as many goals as we can. Because I think we're top four in probably every single metric in terms of attacking, like getting in the box, touches in the box, final third entries, actual goals. So we're really up there. So I think if we can tighten up at the other end, we'll be in a good position.
And when it comes to tightening up at the back, I mean, what are we talking about here when it comes to processes and approach and looking at tape and bringing in individuals that you think will help out? What's that process like for someone that's not there in the film room with you and the assistants? How did you try to tackle this coming into this season?
Well, we recognised what we needed. I think we knew, particularly at centre-back, we needed a bit of help there. We've got good guys there that have done well. They'll continue to do well and they'll continue to get pushed. But I think we had to raise a level of the ones that we've got to really increase the overall level. So we added, at the back, Alvaro Cazeda. He's cover for full-back, but he's a real threat to the ones that are there that you would see as starters. But he's been brilliant in pre-season and he gives us a decision. We added Oscar Jimenez, who played at Louisville for, I think, 6-7 years. He's won the whole thing a couple of times.
32 seasons at Louisville for Oscar. I swear, we've seen him forever.
Yeah. I remember him from when we had Atlanta United 2 and he played, and I remember thinking, this guy's a player. And we're fortunate to be able to have him here now, so that's good. We added Tulu from San Antonio. So San Antonio, traditionally tough team, tough to play against. Well, a whole team of guys that are like Tulu, to be fair, that big, powerful, good athletes. So we've added Tulu, that'll help us. And we added AB Sissoko. He came from Seattle. He's played in the MLS. Played for their second team the majority of the time last year, but he's played MLS and he's done very well. And I think he's looking to try and boost his career, which is where we kind of come in, and we're a good spot for that for players, I think.
when you look at the midfield, and I know that for those that got to catch up with you and see Memphis 901 early in the preseason for the matchup in Atlanta against Atlanta United, I know that there were some familiar faces there. They got to see Emo come back. Zachary Duncan is someone that folks kind of gravitated toward. Luis Fernando, once again, another part of the Atlanta United stuff in the past. And you got guys like Bruno Lapa. And I know that you can't be in Memphis without having a guy without being named Les Paul being in Memphis, those kinds of things. That midfield is something that I know that when you're adding this kind of personnel, there's a lot of different personalities there that can give you a lot of different approaches to help you fill out your pieces.
Definitely. And I think there's a lot of them can play multiple positions and roles themselves within the midfield. So we're delighted with the ones that we've added first. So obviously Zach's came in, an Australian lad who was playing in Denmark. Career probably faltered a little bit through no fault of his own. I think COVID hit. Which affected everyone, obviously. But then, so that happened. He got an injury, when there was a big move on the cards. And I think he actually cost the Danish club 400,000 or something in compensation. So that's a pretty high level player to come to the USL. Mm-hmm. So Zach's going to do well for us. We're already pleased with him in pre-season. You mentioned Emerson. Emerson's fitter, stronger. He looks a little bit more resilient than he was last year. And again, to be able to attract a player like that to the club says a lot for the staff and what they believe we can do for them. Leston, we've brought him a little closer to the coaching staff this year as he gets a little bit older. He's obviously certainly not ready to finish, but he's getting closer every year. Like you say, he's been here for 100 years, so he's a great character in the place. I'm not talking like a jokey character. I mean, like professional, brilliant guy, and ready for the next step when it comes. Lapa is in there. Sami Cariaga came from Lanús, which Atlanta people know Lanús very well. Mm-hmm. So when we can attract a player from Lanús, again, says a lot about our contacts and particularly Caleb Sewell, the sporting director's contacts. So I think the midfield's really strong. They don't know who's going to play there week to week. But I think whoever plays there is capable of everything you want in a top midfielder. And hopefully if we do everything we think we're going to do, it'll be a top midfield in the division.
All right, so let's go up front. And one of the guys that over the last handful of years we've been able to see continue to grow and develop ever since, I swear, much like, Les Paul and Oscar have been in the USL Championship forever, it seems like Naito Pickering has been in USL Championship forever, and he started maybe when he was like 13. I mean, that's how long it feels like he's been in USL Championship. But what's it been like to see Naito Pickering continue his advancement in the game and being so young while all this is going on?
Yeah, well, being able to help a kid like that's career's something that you're in it for as well. So we're all excited about that, myself particularly. The sports science department have helped him no end. We brought Leandro Spinola from Corinthians, so that's been good for Knight. We can spend a lot of time with him on the training pitch. I think he came in here as a 17-year-old the year before I came in. Yeah. Scored on his debut, an overhead kick that I think everyone's seen. Mm-hmm. Last year, he started more games than he's ever started and took part in more games than he's ever done. Scored a good number of goals, good quality goals, learning how to play against men on a consistent basis. And we're looking for more from him this year. And he started the pre-season brilliantly. We've signed Nico Brett, and Nico's not here yet. So Knight has found himself as the only number 9 at the club. So he looks like he's going to start the season, but he's earned it anyway. But he's kind of grasped it. And if you walked in, you wouldn't see the body of a 19-year-old. He's a really powerful young man. And I think he's going to kick on this year, and hopefully we can keep him for the whole season. But I think that's one of the dangers when you've got a player like that someone comes in and puts, which wouldn't be a lot of money for MLS or foreign clubs, enough down to come and take him.
And at the same time, you mentioned Nico Brett up top. We talked about Pickering. You bring in Noe Meza from League One, and he was a handful for the Murder Owls out at Union Omaha. He is now a part of the discussion. Marlon, who, like Oscar and like others, is like 740 years old. He's been there forever, but he still just keeps right on running and doing what he does. And you also end up with another guy up top that we got to see in Athens, and Dylan Borzak. I mean, you've got depth in a lot of different lines for this run that is USL Championship. And I mean, this is one of the more stacked rosters, I think, in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, well, we got moved to the West
the
probably
West,
for that.
yeah.
Yeah, probably for that reason. No, John. Maybe
Yeah,
they
they
shifted
booted
us.
you.
They
They
didn't want to
booted
see us. Didn't want to see us in the East anymore. So they challenge us a wee bit different. Give us more travel.
Right.
But yeah, no, we're pretty much doubled up in every position, to be honest. So it's a good position to be in. Gives you a problem though, but it also gives the players a real drive that the training almost picks the team for you. The performance on a Saturday night picks it for the next week. But they all know the minimum is hard work and the minimum is competing. And if you earn the opportunity and the opportunity arises, you will get it. If you don't earn it in training, you won't get the opportunity. And I think it's been pretty evident that the players are hungry to do well when they get the chance. And I think that serves the team and the club well.
And you mentioned being in the West. Does it feel like the season is only 8 days away, considering that you're going to have your home opener and you're going to smash a guitar as one of the early matches on next Saturday when Vegas comes to town? And Vegas has, they've got a guy who likes to flip bats when he was playing baseball as one of their owners now. And Vegas is spending money. They're bringing in folks. The West is going to be interesting for you in year one.
Yeah, well, firstly, I'm glad the season's starting because pre-season, I didn't like it too much as a player, but obviously as a coach, you want to get into the business side of it. So when the games start, it's a lot better. You can really dial into everything that's going on. So that's we're all looking forward to that. I think players, staff, everyone. I think we're the first game of the year, so there'll be a lot of eyes on us, which is good. The televised games came out. We're not on there, but this is an opportunity for us to show ourselves that people are missing something because we're going to be a good team. But that's up to us. I think the West itself is going to be a little bit different, but we played everyone last year as well, so it's not totally the unknown. There's half of the places we've not been to, but it doesn't really matter. It's a new adventure, another opportunity to go and do well. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We know Vegas have spent quite a bit of money. It maybe didn't happen quite as quickly, so hopefully they're a bit weaker than they might be later in the year. But it's once they get settled and get their players in. So it's I could tell you that about every club in the league, though. Probably they're spending more money than us. We've managed to do it on a really, really tight budget. So that's one of the strengths of the group as well.
And before I get into the rest of the West, you mentioned all of the investment that has been made and the contacts that you have. I mean, to get this done, it's got to be a delicate balancing act where I assume that Caleb has international dialing on his phone and it's unlimited minutes or unlimited WhatsApp groups and however things are done these days. But to be able to have those contacts, call South America, have South American clubs interested in sending their players to Memphis. I mean, this has got to be one of the largest whiteboard experiences that you guys ever got. It's like, okay, we got to call here, do this, lines and squiggles, 6 foot by 8 foot whiteboard. I mean, how difficult is this to do this internationally for a USL Championship club?
Well, yeah, very. And I think part of that is, well, obviously I went home to Scotland in the winter. Caleb was in Portugal for a little bit because he lived there for a while. His wife's Brazilian. They were here for a while. So the time difference, I think I took calls at like 1 and 2 in the morning from Caleb, who was here. So the break in the winter was not a break at all. I think we were on the phone every single day. So that's good. But the fact Caleb actually speaks Portuguese fluently from his time there, and his wife's Brazilian, so the Portuguese language is familiar to them. So the South American thing becomes a little bit more accessible. So that really helps. So Caleb's got good contacts with that. And the fact he can talk directly to people is great. And then I think the profile of Caleb, the profile of myself, our track record. Caleb was in coaching the second team, helping that when he was in Toronto as well. So good playing background, good coaching background, good history. Pushing young players and pushing other players onto something new and something greater than they're at the moment. And I think agents see that, players see that, and we continue to do that. So it makes the club we're working at a good place to put your players.
Stephen Glass, head coach, Memphis 901 FC, hanging out with us for another couple of minutes here in hour number 2 on the kickoff for Soccer's morning show here at SDH. Man, the USL Championship season is a little over a week away before we kick things off in 24. The West. And the West, it's San Antonio as a traditional heavyweight, Sacramento a traditional heavyweight, Phoenix, they get to hang a banner, Orange County. I mean, you look at all of these folks that you're going to be going up against, and there are no easy places to play. When you look at this challenge of the Western Conference, the East booted you out to the West, and so now you're in the West, and you're looking at all of these heavy hitters here. I mean, this is some tall timber that you're going to be getting into here in 24.
But definitely, but I think the whole league is like that, because the East, I don't think you look at the East and say it's weak. And we managed to finish fourth in there last year against, like you talk about heavyweights, you're talking about Tampa Bay Rowdies and Louisville and these guys that are huge clubs. So it wasn't easy last year. So going into something that's not easy this year doesn't faze us. But you're right, we're going to clubs that spend way more than us, have more fans in their ground than us. But we know what we are. We know we're a good team. We know we can compete. And our players are very hungry to show what they are as well. So I think we go into it with the mentality that no one's better than us. They might have bigger stadiums, bigger budgets, but when you get on the pitch, there's a coach at the side trying to coach 11 guys better than you. Your 11 guys are trying to show that they're better players than the other ones. And we've never shirked a fight here in Memphis. So that's a definite.
How have you continued to grow as a coach in your time there in Memphis, other than the issues at the back probably giving you more gray hairs than you would have wanted at times? How have you continued to grow as a head coach? What have you learned about yourself with your time there in Memphis?
I think that some of the lessons that I've had along the way are valuable. Obviously, I had a great time in Atlanta, some really deep learning experiences there. Back in Aberdeen, you're coaching against 50,000 people. When you go to Rangers and Celtic, I had a team that could compete there. And then you learn the experience of losing your job for whatever reason. And you don't always feel it's justified when you make a move from a club, but you get the chance to reflect and see things you could have done better, differently. But I think the contacts I have in the game and where I get to go. So after I lost my job in Aberdeen, I had the opportunity to go to visit Brendan Rodgers in Leicester at the time. Full access, watch training, watch him prepare for the game. Then they were doing very similar to the things that we were doing. So you feel like you're on the right track. Then this winter, I was fortunate. I played with Sean Dyche in Watford when I was younger and had less grey hairs. So thanks for referencing that, John. And
I got more than you, brother.
Yeah, you've still got some, so it's good. But it's So went to visit Dyche this year again, full access, walking around the training pitch as close as you want, in the office all day with him, and then go watch them beat Chelsea. So just seeing and learning from other managers, seeing things that they're doing, seeing best practice, and you get a feeling that you're on the right track with the staff you work with. We are short-handed, so you get your hands dirty. We've all got our hands on everything at the club. There's only 3 or 4 of us that are. You see these other clubs, and they've got analysts, they've got multiple fitness coaches, masseur, the lot. We are a sports scientist, Caleb and myself, and a physio. So there's no analyst here. It's us. We do it all ourselves. All the travel's taken care of ourselves. But it means the players know that you're invested in it as well, which is probably our biggest strength. That they feel that we're in it as well. There's not a them and us. So yeah, lessons along the way learned in my own career, which I want to be better than I am at the moment, and I want to do that every day, and I'll continue to strive to do that.
Hard-hitting question to wrap up with you here.
Okay.
Have you found a good Irish pub, and have you found a good barbecue joint? Have you gotten into the barbecue? Those kinds of things. What have you discovered about your eating habits and such? And have you found a good Irish pub since you've been there?
So the first part is there's good Scottish bars as well. So I'll caveat with that answer. But
I know, because I got a Scottish flag right over there.
Yeah, good. So you should. But it's so there's plenty of Scottish bar. You didn't ask me that, but there's plenty of Scottish ones and a great Scottish contingent as well. But then barbecue, I'm not a big barbecue person, but every time I'm near a stadium, I smell it. So there's 2 or 3 that are real top ones that people have told us we should go. So I'm sure at some point I'll make it. Almost feel like I'm a criminal not going for some in Memphis, but I'll make it. I'll make it there at some point. So I won't let people down. And then Irish bars, again, there's a few. There's a couple of sponsors of the club that have got Irish bars. So there's one that's real close to the stadium called the Brass Door, which is fantastic. There's an Irish guy who's now a local called Seamus. And then there's DJ, who's a big sponsor of the club, who has the Celtic Crossing and a bar called the Bog and Barley, which is one of the best bars I've ever been in. All Irish pubs. But if anyone's ever in Memphis, any of those three are brilliant. And then it'd be a miss. It's not an Irish bar, but there's a place called Ghost River that the guy is very, very forthcoming with sponsorship for the club as well. So he's not Irish, but I don't want to mention other bars and not his. So.
There you go. And then you've also got the great Southern breakfast places that I'm sure are all over the place that are incredibly low calorie, that have, that want to just, you stare at it and you gain 10 pounds. Yeah. As always, my friend, it's great to catch up with you. The season opener and USL Championship coming up a week from tomorrow. Vegas Lights visiting AutoZone against Memphis 901. They're going to smash guitars. They're going to kick the season off and be a part of the premiere for USL Championship in 2024. Stephen Glass, head coach of Memphis 901. Thanks for hanging out, my friend. You know you have a golden ticket and you can crash anytime you want and you can talk about anything you want. It's great to hear your voice. And good luck this season. Be keeping an eye on you. Catch up soon.
Thanks, John. Hope to see you soon. Cheers.